Warning, what you are about to hear is two guys talking completely unfiltered.
Cut. What are you doing? We don't do disclaimers. The show's called Totally Unprofessional for a reason.
I'll see what you did. You're wasting our intro time.
Yeah. Start the show.
I had to start him because Ertz was out.
Well, I started Witten.
Well, you would start with.
Yeah, and Witten only came up with 8.
You're not going to purposely start Cameron because he hasn't had very many good
Yeah.
games lately. You're only going to start him if, like, you're in a situation where I am, where Ertz was out and
I should
Cameron
have
was
started
back up.
Julius Thomas in the flex over Mohamed Sanu.
That's
Because
not
Thomas had 11.
Yeah, but that's not what you're going to do. You're not going to put a
I-
tight end in the flex.
I'm going to. The
Are
guys
you
that I
going to?
have, like, I got to.
You don't have a running back?
I sat Eddie Lacy, which was smart. And I played DeMarco Murray, who had 21 and a half.
No, I'm saying a running back to put in the flex.
Justin Forsett is who I switched out Eddie Lacy for.
I'm actually gonna switch him out. I got him on one of my flex. I don't think he's real strong.
My third highest scoring person or entity, Houston's defense.
They had a good game yesterday.
Yeah.
They had a decent.
Amari Cooper,
Oh, kind of.
12 points.
It wasn't bad.
No,
It just he didn't have
it
that
wasn't
touchdown.
great.
Yeah.
You know
That
who came
touchdown-
through for me?
Who's that?
Dez.
Yeah.
7 for 102.
Yeah, he had a $1, $2. Yeah.
So he came through. So I'm going to wind up winning in Benny's league against Jay. But me and Ed's league game, the bench will make you fucking cry. So check this
Your
out.
bench went nuts, huh?
So I started Drew Brees against the Giants because, like, it's the fucking Giants. Like, I'm not going to not start him. Like,
Yeah.
you know? So, and it was either start Brees or start Carr. And I was like, it's Brees versus the Giants, and what happens if Atlanta decides to wake up and make a couple good plays on Derek Carr?
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, I'll start Brees. Brees finishes with 16 and a half.
Yeah.
His projection was 25, so he missed. My opponent had Cam Newton, who had 41 against San Francisco. Julio Jones did
big
his
game.
job.
Yeah.
21 points. He was shooting for 20. My opponent had Antonio Brown, who came up short. He
Yeah.
only had 9 points. Like I said, I had Amari with 12. T.Y. Hilton was who he had at 8. So far, the only thing he was hurting me with was Cam versus Drew, right?
Yeah.
I have Randall Cobb. He has 14.
Decent game.
Allen Hurns had 11, so I'm
Okay.
still ahead there.
Yeah.
D'Angelo Williams is who I had.
Yeah.
23. He did his job. Then he had LeGarrette Blount, who had a good game. He had 18, but it wasn't as much as D'Angelo Williams.
Yeah.
So again, the only thing he's hurting me on, still Cam Newton.
Yeah.
I picked up Theo Reddick, or is that?
I think that's a good pickup. They're gonna use him more and more.
He had 10 and a half. He missed his projection, which was 12.
But it's better than a slow day for a running back,
Right.
which would be 4 or 5
Right.
in some places.
He had Frank Gore, who came up with 15.
Yeah. Well, he caught that touchdown pass at the end.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, then I started Witten because Witten was the security
He was
blanket.
the security blanket last week, and I think Dez saying something about I didn't get the ball thrown at me. I think
Yeah.
they heard it, and I think they made sure they got him
Witten
the
finished
ball.
with 8, and he had Kelsey from Kansas City, who also had 8. So
Well, and you got to remember that I think in standard scoring formats, a non-PPR,
Mm-hmm.
or even PPRs, 8 to 12 is a good number for. 8 to 12 is a good number for tight ends.
Right.
You know, you're shooting for 8 to 12. What you're trying to avoid is that goose egg, and you're trying to avoid that 2 or 3.
So this is where it starts to get ugly. I have Mohamed Sanu, who finished with 4.9
Okay.
in my flex. He had Duke Johnson, who finished with 10 from Cleveland.
Okay.
Not bad. I have your boy Mike Nugent.
Okay.
He finished with 10,
Yeah, you finished good strong for. a
but
kicker.
he had Gano, who finished with 18.
Yeah, that all those extra points and those little chip shot field goals.
I took Pittsburgh's defense, who finished with 7, because I figured it'd be a grinded out game. They'd
Yeah.
make some plays. So I took them with 7. He has Denver, who came up with 23 points on defense.
Yeah, they had a rather large day, and they're going to against most teams. You know.
So then I take, I told you I had the linebacker, Tavell Smith.
Yeah.
He comes up with 11 points. For the second week in a row, he overshoots his projection.
Yeah.
He had Freeman from Chicago, who's playing right now.
Okay.
He's only got 4 points. He's a linebacker. So the 2 main things, or 3 main things that killed me, Cam Newton, Gano, the kicker from Carolina, and Denver's defense. Everything else, I would have beat him on, right? But then you look at my bench. Martellus Bennett, 22 points.
Yeah.
Eric Decker, 24.5 points.
Yeah.
Derek Carr, 31 points. Giovanni Bernard, 26.7 points.
100 yards receiving, 9 catches, and a touchdown. Yeah.
So that's where I lost out. I made switches that I should have stayed with, I guess, and didn't. So it hurt me in the long run. Threw the jump ball, picked off. Oh, I dropped it.
Monday night's on. Bears are laying an egg on TV as usual. Cutler seems to have pied out once again and bailed on the game.
Vagina hurts.
He's about as brittle as freaking RG3, man. You know,
Pretty close.
I don't know about.
You know who like everybody talks about like Favre being the Iron Man of his generation. I have Big Ben being the one of this generation.
You would say Big Ben, or you could even. I don't want to say you want to argue. Palmer's been through 2 knee surgeries already. He's another one that's been around a long time.
But to me, he hasn't played through the injuries that Roethlisberger's played through.
Roethlisberger just doesn't want to come off the field.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm sure it's going to affect the way he walks when he's done with
he's
the game.
He's going to be a decrepit old man, dude. Mm-hmm. He's going to be one of those guys.
He's going to be a decrepit old man with a box full of Super Bowl rings.
Hey, you know what? In the end, the rings don't mean nothing. As long as the young...
They do when you play for a living.
But, no, he's definitely... As much as I don't like the Steelers, the guy, you can't help but admire the guy.
He's like Jeter in the Yankees with me.
I watched him pinball off of defenders again yesterday, and it's like, damn, will somebody tackle the fucking guy?
He always finds a way to extend plays.
It's just crazy.
That's why I said he reminds me of Favre in that way.
Yeah.
That he's a gunslinger that extends plays, even though he's not a known runner.
And the same thing too, though. Like Favre, he'll put them in some bad situations because he's trying to make a play.
He'll throw you into a game, and he'll throw you right out of a game.
I heard that phrase used about that Mississippi State kid, Cody. I can't think of his name. They played Alabama yesterday and lost in a close game.
Yeah,
Cody Keller, is that his name?
No, it's Cody something.
But they were talking about how he's young, he's real good, he's accurate, he's athletic, he's very talented. And they're saying he'll throw you into games, but he'll also throw you right back out. And I guess that's what happened yesterday. They went back and forth with Bama, and that guy was at the center of every shift.
Had to show Bama was human right away.
Yeah, well, you know what? And they were complimenting Nick Saban on being able to win that kind of game because they're not known to have that kind of firepower. So,
my Ducks lost by a field goal.
You can't really. They're still trying to find themselves after Chip Kelly. They're still looking.
No, I don't think that it's since Chip Kelly. It's Chip Kelly's program players because the guy who's the head coach still runs the same system.
Yeah,
but it's guys like Marcus Mariota, Josh Duff.
Well, Chip Kelly was the one that went out and got him.
Yeah,
I mean, Chip Kelly.
It's guys that were from his system that like he molded.
Chip Kelly sitting in front of you is a lot different than whoever their coach is now sitting in front of you.
Yeah.
You know, the guy had already bagged the national championship. The guy's consistently a playoff team. You know, he was always in the top 5.
Yeah.
It's a little different. So you don't have as much selling with anything. So.
Yeah. Red Sox swept the Yankees the weekend series with the Yankees.
Yeah.
They're ahead 3 games coming into tonight.
They got a 4-game set with them, right?
Yeah. They're up. Or I take that back. They won 3 out of the 4, I think, is what it was. They lost one night. Hanley Ramirez, AL Player of the Week, because he went to the ass whooping on the Yankees. Yeah, home run after home run. And then tonight, they started a series with the Orioles.
Yeah.
And they were up 5-1 after the 5th inning with Mookie Betts and David Ortiz with the homers. So take that shit, Eric.
Eric wants to know why you text him when the Boston's doing good, but when Baltimore's doing good and he texts you, you don't get no reply.
I do reply.
He's still convinced that you don't.
That's
reply.
Because he's old and he's got dementia.
He's got forget. I told him he needs to drink more beer, but he ain't listening to me.
Yeah,
so. We were talking about that Friday night.
Tell him mix it with his Metamucil, straight down.
But
yeah. So it was a good weekend. I went to San Francisco for the weekend. Got to see 2 games, Giants, Cardinals. Cardinals won both games.
For those people who have never been to the new park,
the AT&T Park,
will you share with them what you shared with me yesterday about how the seating?
Okay, so I've never been to San Francisco until this weekend, and I've been to O.co for A's Red Sox games for the last 4 years and a Raider game. I've been to the Dodgers Stadium this year to watch the Red Sox and the Dodgers. And so this was my 3rd. Oh, and I've been to Anaheim. I've watched the Angels play. That was my first games I ever went to. Was 2 Angels games. So I've been to Anaheim as well, which they also have a beautiful park with the rocks in center field. But when you look at how a stadium is built, for most baseball stadiums, the piece of property that the stadium is built on, it's built to where everything comes to the stadium. So like when you go to O.co in Oakland, when you get off the freeway and you make that turn off the off ramp and you go straight, and it curves around and you go straight ahead to the stadium, you're coming off the road going into the parking lot, which then you walk up to the stadium and go in. So when they built the stadium is expanding out and upward. So even in your highest points of the stadium, they're not as high as you think they might be because it's building outward. It's not necessarily going up. It's just going up and out to make room for enough people. Anaheim is Angel Stadium is the same. It's very similar in that it goes out and up. Although it's newer, it goes out and up.
Let me interject something here. For those of you that don't know, Justin has a height issue.
Yeah.
So high places are not real.
Even though I'm
mentally friendly to him.
I'm 6'1.5". Like I do have height issues. It causes anxiety to that extent. And I automatically start like getting sweaty palms and like shaky legs and like vertigo and shit. And I've been to Dodger Stadium now. I went this year for the first time, and we sat in the second deck right in front of the digital ribbon, and it's a beautiful park. But again, it's built on the side of the hill, the way that it's built, so that the parking lot is what comes out in a way that you oversee the rest of the city. Mm-hmm. The stadium is back into the hill, so they can build out when they built the stadium. Going to San Francisco, for those of you who don't know AT&T Park or have never been there, you're looking at a park that's built on the water and the bay. So when they bought this property, they had to go into the water and secure some of this shit underwater, which is similar to what they're doing with the new Warriors Arena. It's going to be closer to like a downtown area on the water, like near the water. So when you go out there, the city is already there. As I said, most stadiums, you drive into the parking lot, you pay for parking, and you park your car amongst 40,000 people, and you do your thing, and then you go to the game. Here, you don't do that because the city runs right next to the park.
Yeah.
Most people take the BART or the trolley right there and go that way, or they do meter parking and walk.
How far does the BART actually drop you off from there? Did you see it?
Like literally, like it runs in the middle of the street that runs on Willie Mays Plaza, which is King Street.
Oh wow.
Like you're literally like you cross the street and you're standing on the sidewalk that the park's on. Like that's all it is. Which I've taken the BART system in Oakland to go to the A's game from San Jose to Oakland and whatnot, but I don't know the BART system in San Francisco. So I didn't want to park somewhere and try to take the BART and stuff like that, not knowing how it works. So we went ahead and we paid for meter parking and walked up to the stadium. Well, the first night the tickets that we had gotten were like 3-4 rows from the top, and I was like, man, this is kind of high. And I kind of like didn't panic, but like I was kind of like, okay, I got to get my bearings about me here. Like, and it took me a solid 3 innings to get like good.
We were okay.
Well, the next day, the girlfriend's family shows up to meet us for the day game that was at 1:00, and to get 5 tickets in a row is hard to find.
Yeah.
For a reasonable price.
It's an odd number.
And any ticket in San Francisco, because they've won a World Series in the last 3 years, the last one they won was 2014. They went on even years, 10, 12, 14. That's why they have a saying called "believin'," because it's even numbers. They're thinking this year could be a good year for them out of the NL.
Don't look like it.
I got my Red Sox winning the whole thing. But so the tickets are expensive. So to get that many in a row is just hard to find in general. And they get expensive once you start going down into like even the middle levels. Like we looked at tickets that were in the middle level, which was where we sat in Oakland, which were beautiful seats where all those foul balls came.
Yeah.
Those tickets when we went to Oakland, I think were $40 with fees. Mm-hmm. These, if you look at the same tickets, they were like $89 without fees.
Oh wow! So you're upwards of a bill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was a bit ridiculous. So we got those tickets. Well, we go and we get there when the gates open. We walk around. They have some beautiful attractions at this park. They have a whole setup for barbecue brisket, a Margaritaville setup behind the scoreboard.
Nice.
Like it's a beautiful thing. But again, the way that it's set up, you're building the park off of the city street into the water. So you can only go so far.
Yeah.
Well, that means that the way that the seating is arranged is it goes straight up. Like, it's not like even close to being like layered. Like, sitting where I was sitting, I couldn't see the bottom level. Like, at all.
That is crazy.
So if you do have any sort of like weirdness with heights, it will fuck your head up. So when we got to our seats and we're sitting at the top and I'm sitting next to the girlfriend, she looks at me and she said, "Are you okay?" And I said, "No." And she goes, "It's the heights, huh?" And I said, "Yes." Because what they have is they have mesh between in the fencing, because it's cyclone fencing around the top. Obviously, they don't leave it wide open. But you can. It's when the sun's hitting it, you can see through it. And when you look down, you don't see the tops of buildings, which is what you would see if you were looking like in the city. If you're in the top floor of like a hotel, looking out, you could see the rooftops. You don't see that. What you see is just the drop off to the fucking ground and to the water. So when I sat there, when we walked up, like I'm walking up and I see it, and I just turn and I focus on getting my seat. I literally couldn't sit back in my chair because I felt like I was gonna fall the fuck out of the seats backwards. God. And it's a nasty feeling to have to sit there for 4 hours like that.
Just with that little thing
with that in your head.
Mind.
Now, mind you, now take this into account, right? You know how it works. A chair is every 18 inches because they want as many asses and seats as they can get, right? Yeah. Both games, the attendance was over 41,000 people there. Okay. Beginning of the game, they stood and had a moment of silence for domestic abuse. Okay. Then they sang the national anthem right after. I am standing on the top row, straight up in the air right now. Now, I told you it's steep going straight up. Yeah. So now when I'm standing, facing, now I feel like I'm going to just eat it going forward. The girlfriend had to hold on to me because the legs got a little light.
Oh, man.
So then I go to sit back down, and I'm sitting there. Well, then in the 7th inning, normally they do what? During the baseball game.
The 7th inning stretch.
And they play what song?
Take Me Out to the Ball Game.
Usually, right? Yeah. You think so. And you don't got to stand up for that. Fuck no, it's Sunday. They're playing America the Beautiful. You got to stand up.
Yeah. Oh, jeez.
So now I got to stand up again. At one point, the girlfriend looks at me and goes, "Would you like to take a break? Like, we could just go walk. Like, we don't got to get food. We don't got to get a drink. We could just walk. Like, get you down for a little while." So it was much appreciated that she understood.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like, I was, like, literally, like, I had to tap her on the leg to talk to her so that way she would come forward and come to me because I physically could not look at her because I would see behind the seats and see the drop-off, and I immediately would get, like, this feeling.
Oh, man.
And I could look out. Like, I could look at the bay. I could look at the flags whipping across the top on the left side of me. I could look out this way and see all the boats and the liners and everything. Yeah. But I couldn't look straight up. I couldn't look at the flag that was dead above me. I'd get, like, vertigo, like, oh, fuck. Like, that nasty, like, oh, like, make you want to curl up into a ball. Yeah. Like, it was dirty. So, if you have any type of heights issues and you're trying to get off cheap at San Francisco, don't do it. Pay the extra. Pay the extra.
Drop the extra $50, get yourself down.
Yeah, be comfortable. Like, it's not a good feeling.
It could almost take away from the experience of being at the park.
I literally sat there with sweaty palms and on the verge of tears by the time we got to the 8th inning. Oh, geez. Because it had just piled up for so long sitting there.
Oh, man, that's crazy.
And it makes it worse because you don't want to take away from everybody else's experience. Yeah. And you don't want to talk about it. And you're the one that looks weird sitting forward the entire game while everybody else is sitting back enjoying the game. Mm-hmm. And like her family was there. It was their first time ever being at a pro game. Yeah. So you really don't want to ruin that experience. Yeah. And I was just waiting for the moment for them to go, "What's wrong? Like, how come he's like anxious? How come he's like all?" But I don't know if it happened or not. She never told me if it did. So.
Well, you had to have had a look on your face. So I'm sure her dad at some point said, "Hey, is he all right?"
Well, he was sitting 2 seats over from her, and I couldn't look at him. So.
Okay, well, that makes sense. Good experience, though, overall?
Overall, good experience. Okay. This is what I said, though, about San Francisco, the city itself. Because we didn't see a whole lot of it, but we drove around in some like good areas and bad areas. It amazes me how in such a large city, and I'm sure it's like this in a lot of major cities, how you can drive and be in this beautiful part of town with structures and buildings that you're like amazed of the architecture and the glass work. Mm-hmm. And then 2 blocks later, you're in hillbilly hell Like, what the fuck did I do? Where did I make a wrong
Where
turn?
did I make this wrong turn?
And then you go another block and a half, and you're right back into this beautiful scenery of buildings and the bay and like all this stuff. It's weird, like how quickly it drops off and comes back. And not only that, but like the amount of renovation they're doing to many of those buildings. Like they're literally like tearing buildings up and rebuilding in the same spot.
Trying to stay modern. It's a big city for you.
Yeah, I mean I've gone to San Jose, Santa Clara. I've been to LA. I've been to San Francisco now. I've been like on trips and stuff. I've been to Arizona and Santa Fe, New Mexico, stuff like that. And it's always an experience when I get to stay for more than like a day or two. Like San Jose, I've gotten to the point now where I'm comfortable with their traffic. It's not outrageous. And I love going to San Jose. The weather's always 70 degrees, 75 degrees at best. And it's awesome. There's always stuff to do. Like, even if you don't want to do shit, everything's within walking distance and you can just chill.
That's cool.
And I always feel like, man, I could see myself like moving here. Leaving San Francisco was an experience, and the girlfriend agreed with me in this particular trip. Maybe there's parts of it that I haven't seen that are better, but like I felt like it made me appreciate living in the small town.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. We lived in Stockton for a while. And while in no way that's a measure to Oakland or Frisco or LA, it's a different animal. You appreciate growing up in a small town. The biggest reason that I wanted to come back this way, but I'm glad it was a positive experience.
Yeah,
I mean,
for sure. Glad to say I got to drive on the Bay Bridge. That was cool. Because you only see that like during the primetime games when they shoot it all lit up for like San Francisco or Oakland.
It's a pretty cool sight.
It's a trip. Like you literally drive like as you're coming in off the I-80 from Oakland going into San Fran, like you literally are water level. Like you're literally like there's literally just a curb is what it looks like, and you're looking water level, and then all of a sudden you just start to ascend, and then all of a sudden you're on the bridge above it. Like, it's weird.
It's
and
funky.
Immediately when we came in, clouds rolling in off in the distance, like it's cool. It's a cool experience to see.
Well, that's for sure. Chicago scored again on a punt return for a touchdown by Eddie Royal. They're still 2 scores down. I mean, if they can hold ball, they're going to give up a field goal right now.
Yeah,
anyways.
3 minutes.
I mean, that's just... Is he going to tackle him? Oh, nice tackle. So, we had an interesting football weekend.
Oh, and speaking of while we were in San Francisco, the girlfriend says, because I was watching sports, she says, hey, who do you think's going to win? Because we were watching the Sunday morning countdown show because we were up before games were on. And she's like, who the Raiders playing? So I tell her, they're playing Atlanta. And she goes, you think they're going to win? I go, I think it's going to be a shootout again, like it was last weekend. And she was like, I go, our defense needs to tighten up, but I just don't see it happening in a week.
Oh, man.
And so then she goes, well, who are the Bengals playing? And I said, they're playing the Steelers. Yeah. And I said, if you listen to the podcast, which will be up here tomorrow, I didn't have a chance because I was out of town to put up the new episode. I said, I picked the Steelers to win on Friday's podcast that we recorded. And she goes, really? You picked against Manuel's Bengals? I said, I just told him I think it's going to be a grinded out game that the Steelers win. And she goes, think I should bet him? I said, if you want to, I mean, shit. And she goes, well, they gave me a $50 gift card for my birthday, or 25. She goes, I might as well make another 25 and make it a 50. I go, well, then text him and tell him.
So she texts me and she's like, hey, you want to bet on the game? Obviously, I'm taking the Steelers. I'm like, hell yeah, I want to bet.
She goes, laugh out loud.
It was almost like she was being goaded by somebody, Somebody was pushing her from behind, trying to get her to make the bet, but I took it. You're right, it was a grinded out game. I mean, I'm watching that game. Cincinnati, they never really got going. It was a little funky because the ground game hasn't appeared in 2 straight weeks. And a lot of people say, oh, you need to be worried. You guys need to run the ball. And I'm thinking, we just need to fucking win games. Brady doesn't say, oh, we won because we ran the ball. Brady says, I do what I got to do to win games.
Right.
Manning would say, whatever it takes for the team to win games, we'll do, And I'm getting tired of people saying they got to do this. They have 2 good running backs. Bernard flashed yesterday, 9 catches, 100 yards in the team.
Thanks for being on my bench, you piece of shit.
It's kind of like you stop and think for a second, he's going to get the first down.
Oh! That should be short.
That should be about a half-yard short.
They're going to... Oh, no. That's a bad
chicken
spot.
Shit spot, dude. What's with the fucking refs this weekend, man?
Horrible. I saw a thing that said that the refs missed something like 16 calls in the Jacksonville game from a week ago.
Holy cow. They need to stop with these report cards. They need to stop with these. They made a mistake.
They need to stop releasing that to the public.
Yeah, they need to just say, you know what, our refs go out there, they do the best they can. We fully endorse them because they're trained, and then move on with life. These after game reports. I mean, they do it in baseball too. You know, they missed this or they missed that. They need to stop that. They're real fast. They're going to find themselves without refs. But yeah, the Bengal game just a grind. They made it. They pulled it within one score on Gio's touchdown, driving down the field, and there's a fumble by Tyler Boyd, the rookie, and his knee. I mean, I'm a homer, but you like to see calls get. You know, you like to see them right. You want to see the right call made. He went down. To me, it looked like his knee was down. The ball was not out, and then no fumble. Well, they rule it a fumble. They review it, you know, and then say that there was. The way he said it was the call stands, which I know because I watch a lot of football. That meant they didn't have enough evidence to overturn it. NFL comes out today and says that they got it right. There was not enough. Evidence. Yeah, it was inconclusive. So you're kind of sitting there and you're thinking to yourself, I thought you guys were. This is what this is for, was to get this kind of shit right. I mean, I didn't see a single columnist, a single morning show this morning, anything that said that was not a fumble. You know, everybody agreed. Or that it was a fumble. Everybody agreed it wasn't a fumble. So I'm just kind of curious what the fucking refs were looking at. But you know what? You're going to lose some of those when you can't play a complete game, and they didn't. Yeah. You know, they did not. Ben did enough to win. Antonio Brown was shut down.
Flashbacks of the playoff game?
No, it was very a very calm game. There was no pushing, no shoving, no arguing. It's about. And I was talking with a guy at work because he's a Steelers fan. That's about as clean a game as we've seen in probably like 10 years. You know, you don't get those between the Bengals and the Steelers because they don't like each other. You know? So it was a real clean game. It was hard fought.
I was gonna ask, like, were there any dirty hits or anything?
No, like I said, there was a lot of big hits.
Because I heard this is an interesting stat over the weekend. Between the two teams in the last game that was played, which was the playoff game, correct? $200,000 was handed out in fines.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah. Plus, well, look at the suspension. Burfict is sitting down because of that still. So, grindy game.
Unfortunately, I didn't get to watch any football as that pertained to the.
You did hear the end of the Raider game?
I did.
Carr looks good.
I did hear the Raider game to the disapproval of the girlfriend, who I told to take a nap on the way home while I listened to that Raider game.
The offense looks good. The defense is still in limbo. That's 1,100 yards.
They need to quit with this young man bullshit. Like, you need to bring in a veteran. Like, they got Reggie Nelson. I think they can spend a little money or make a deal and bring in a couple other veteran guys that they don't have to be on the upside still, but they definitely need some guys who can buckle down.
Definitely.
And right now, these young guys can't fucking do it. They need to cut bait with DJ Hayden.
They just can't find.
DJ Hayden needs to go.
Yeah,
this guy's a joke right now. Sean Smith got torched again.
Oh, jeez.
Like, how many times are you gonna let this happen with these guys? Like, they need to make some moves for DBs. I mean, it's
definitely. If you're a Raider fan, you're pleased with where the offense is, but you're going, where the hell is the defense? Those were all the moves we made.
I tagged you in that, or tagged my buddy in that video I showed you earlier of the three Raider guys going at it in the stands. And he goes, I almost did that to my dad. And I said, why? I said, was your dad drunk at the game? He goes, no, our defense sucks dick. I said, yeah, we've given up 1,000 yards in 2 games.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy. Was a lot of other good games.
Oh, well, before we get into any other games, the biggest headline of the last week and a half of the NFL has been injuries.
Dude, everybody.
Danny Woodhead, torn ACL.
Yeah.
Adrian Peterson, torn meniscus. That was confirmed this morning.
They're not ruling him out, though, for this week.
No, I don't think they will. Because depending on... There's guys that, like, play sports without meniscus.
Yeah.
So...
They might just go in and scope
They might scope his knee and say, we'll see you in 4 weeks. 4 to 6, whatever it is.
That's what I'm thinking.
But the biggest news, if you're a local person like we are, is the Cleveland Browns.
Yep.
Cody Kessler will start on Sunday. The kid from Bakersfield.
Yeah.
He went to... For those of you who don't know who he is, he went to Bakersfield. He played basketball and football and baseball, I believe. I watched him as a senior. He put up 50 points on Bullard High School in the playoffs.
Nice.
Single-handedly brought his team back and won that game. He went on to play football at USC. Had a decent career. It wasn't, like, spectacular, but they had some issues. They were still coming off of penalties and stuff as far as from the school. And he got drafted by the Browns or signed by the Browns, whatever it was. And
released.
Then they went ahead and the last I had heard was that he was third on the depth chart.
Yeah.
And then
They were actually thinking of practice squatting him before the season started, and they decided to keep him, which makes you wonder about what RG3 was really going on over there.
Yeah.
And RG3 goes down, McCown goes down.
Yeah.
Next up, let's
and
go.
then they were talking about how gritty McCown is, that he's one of the toughest people that Hugh Jackson was saying he's one of the toughest guys I've ever worked with. But they're saying they're telling everybody that he's gonna miss, a game or he's game to game situation, but they're saying it's more than likely that he misses a few games. So Kessler will get his opportunity.
Yeah, and if Kessler does well, there'd be no reason to rush McCown back. So another local guy getting his shot. We watched Ryan Matthews have a decent night tonight.
Final score
29-14.
It's over.
Philadelphia. Yeah, that's
fans' choice for the Gruden grinder, Ryan Matthews.
Yeah, that's awesome. I pissed off at San Diego for giving up on him, but it's just the way it is.
Carson Wentz. First time a rookie quarterback has started and won first 2 games with 0 turnovers.
Yeah. Well, he's not the only one. Look at Dak Prescott over in Dallas, He's not 2-0.
Far different situation.
He's not 2-0,
but that's the thing. You have to win the first 2 games.
He hasn't turned over the ball either, They didn't lose that game because
Jason
of him.
Garrett is a quarterback coach at heart. He was a quarterback. He started as a quarterback coach. Good Lord, Nelson Aguilar put a hit on somebody.
Yeah.
I think that he is a quarterback's coach, period, because that's how he started, and he was one when he played pro ball. So he knows what the development process looks like.
Yeah.
And I think that's why even when the rest of their team kind of looks shitty, Romo gets his.
Yeah.
Because he knows how to work Romo and help with the play calls.
Yeah.
And with Dak Prescott, he's done a good job of protecting him and not putting him in positions or making him make throws that are out of his.
Threw for 300 yards this week. I mean, hey.
He does a good job of teaching them to let the game to come to them instead of trying to do more than what you need.
Yeah, I know it was Washington they beat, but it's a positive sign for them to at least know that.
But it's the NFL, and Washington is your defending division champion.
Yeah, and they were playing well down the stretch last year, and that's why they won.
They struggled with New York. They, played Washington and had their struggles.
But the argument is that New York is a lot better than everybody thinks they are.
Yeah.
So that New
thanks
York
a lot, you fuckers. Cost me in fantasy football.
Glad
to see Dez back to his old ways.
Yeah. That move right there with the Giants, they are going to make noise. It's early, and that loss may not look like what it really looked like to us, like a blown loss. Right. That may just be the Giants digging down and knowing that they're that kind of team this year. So that could be one of the things, but we won't know for another couple weeks.
Last night, Sunday night game, Packers Vikings. I didn't watch the game. I saw that it was a close game.
It was ugly.
And AP went down. I didn't see Rodgers' stats.
It wasn't spectacular.
I know Randall Cobb got 15 points.
I'll tell you what, he got outdueled by
Sam Bradford.
Now, the argument that I think a lot of people are going to put is that they had a real vanilla game plan for Bradford. That's why he did so well. It wasn't like he didn't have.
They gave him the Dak Prescott plan.
They didn't give him the whole playbook and say, okay, learn this, and when you're ready, we're going to throw you in, and it just happened to be this ready.
Right.
I think it was a real vanilla down. But I'll tell you what, he looked good. He actually looked like the Bradford we expected to see coming out of Oklahoma.
He looked like that in the beginning of the Philly situation, too.
Yes.
Let's not forget that.
Yeah. So we'll see how that pans out. One of the things they discussed was if Bradford is doing well and Teddy Bridgewater comes back, what are you going to do? It's not like Bradford is 35 or 33 or 38, some veteran QB who just stepped in. He's still a young buck that's got some miles left on him. What are you going to do with him?
You trade
Bridgewater and pack the next couple of years onto this guy?
I wouldn't have made the deal for Bradford in the first place, to be honest with you.
Well, they needed somebody.
You go out and get Michael Vick. I said this. You go out and get Michael Vick. If you keep the game plan simple, like you said, vanilla for Sam Bradford, Michael Vick can succeed.
I don't know.
I do.
I'm not sure if he
had
a real vanilla one in Pittsburgh, and it didn't work out.
I don't agree with that. That system did not fit him.
Okay.
This one is very different. You have a running back in Adrian Peterson that shoulders the load. You have receivers in Minnesota that are under the radar guys. If you remember when he played in Atlanta, who were can you tell me who his receivers were in Atlanta?
Tony Gonzalez was there.
That was his tight end.
Okay, and then he had Roddy White.
Later, that was at the end of his run.
Man, I couldn't name the other one.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Roddy White came on at the end of his run before he, like right at the end when he got busted for the dogs.
But that had a lot to do with his ability to run.
That's my point. If you give him some opportunities, they don't have to be big runs or explosive runs. You just make people believe in the threat.
Yeah,
right?
but he showed in Pittsburgh that wasn't there no more.
So you give him the opportunity by letting him run the ball. Well, then now play action becomes more effective where the bootlegs give him those types of yardage. And he's shown that in throwing on the run, he can stop and plant and throw decently. You just don't give him the deep ball.
Yeah.
You give him the mid and the check down and make him work.
The theory is good, except for that. I watched that guy play in Pittsburgh, and he does not have that explosive threat that he once had. And
he's had a year off.
Well, he has, but once teams
and that division is not easy as far as taking hits.
Once teams started sitting down on him, he wasn't able to pick defenses apart. It didn't happen.
But I think that's where this team is different.
Well, okay, so the flip side of this of the Minnesota argument is that Adrian Peterson did not help Bradford last night.
Well,
he had no help from Peterson before he got hurt.
But before that, though, this is the other thing that I think that Michael Vick could succeed with. There's no pressure. Nobody expects Minnesota to blow anybody out of the water. They expect AP to do his part, before he got hurt.
They're the defending North champions.
Doesn't matter, though. They're expecting their defense to play well. But as soon as Teddy Bridgewater was out, the shit hit the fan in Minnesota.
True.
So people were like, well, there goes the defending champions.
Yeah.
There's no pressure on Michael Vick. His job is to get some wins. You don't got to win them all. Just do your job. Run the play, as they tell you at my job.
Yeah.
Run the play. Do your job. So I think that they didn't have to make the deal for Bradford. Even if it wasn't Michael Vick, they could have went a different direction. I feel like
they give up a first and a third.
Was it a first? I thought it was a second.
It was a first and a third, if I remember.
To me, that was not. He's not worth.
I agree. The price tag was way too high for him, especially if you're going to try to trade him out when.
If you're going to do something like that, where you got a guy who doesn't have a lot of mileage, is in a fucked up situation, regardless of how anybody feels about his stance toward America, go out and get Colin Kaepernick. I mean, the only problem with that is his contract because of how fat it is.
Not even his contract. The last couple of years, his opportunities, he has not looked good.
But if you can talk San Francisco into paying a majority piece of that salary, and he comes to the NFC North, and he's got what he had in the Super Bowl run, a running back that is killer.
And a defense.
It makes it easier.
I don't know. If what were they doing to him last that we remember? Stacking the box and making sure that they couldn't.
They spy on him and stack him.
He did not do well. It wasn't like with Michael Vick where we got to watch for Vick, and Vick was still shredding.
But he's also not facing any defenses like he saw in the NFC West.
I agree.
In my opinion.
Oh, I agree, but my whole point of view on Colin was they got tape now. They know what you're going to do. They know what you do good. They know what you do bad. They're going to make you get better at what you do bad before they let you get away with anything you do good.
But isn't it the coach's job to put him in the best possible position to succeed, film or not? You exploit their weaknesses and expand on your strengths.
And what he has shown is an inability to exploit defenses. He did it for 2 or 3 years because nobody knew his arm strength. Nobody knew his speed. Nobody knew his ability to get around the corner. Once they locked that stuff down, he looked average at best sometimes. Which means he'll play till he's 35 because mediocre quarterbacks always have a job in this league. But
I think that's the route they could have went and given up less.
Yeah, they could have definitely given up less time. There are many names out there, but for now, it looks like the best move for Minnesota.
What would you do if you're the GM talking to the coaches like with Sam Bradford and Teddy Bridgewater? Who do you put your stock in?
I would say it's too early to say that right now.
If you had a gun to your head today and they're like, you got to make a deal or you lose both of them.
I'm probably going to keep Bridgewater because he's younger.
I would keep Bridgewater based on the fact that if you're looking at the devil, you know, and the devil you don't know. You've seen what the mistakes that Bridgewater makes.
Yeah. Well,
you've only seen what Bradford's done elsewhere and how that's affected that. Yeah. You don't know what he could do to the team.
Yeah, but that's a hard devil's advocate's case because there's no way that situation happens where they got to pick one now. Yeah. They're going to be in a much tougher situation where they get to the end of the year and they're either going to be.
I was going to say, come next year, or when he comes back, if he is coming. He's not coming back this year.
No, it's torn.
So beginning of next season, do you say, well, we're having a competition? Or do you go, this was Teddy's team before you came here?
I think it all depends on what Sam does. If Sam has a reasonable season, 9-7, 10-6, having come in when he did and learning everything on pretty much on the fly, because I mean it's been 2 weeks, they pick him up a couple days before the first game. If he's able to have a decent season, 9-7, 10-6, maybe 11-5, I don't know. The way they made Green Bay look last night, I don't know. That says undefeated in their division, but they do have a tough division.
So they were at home.
Yeah, they were at home. First game in a new stadium. There's a lot of things.
Looks ridiculous too.
Yeah. So I think Bradford 9-7, 10-6. It's a quarterback controversy come next season. It definitely is. But we wait till we get to that point.
The other thing I was gonna tell you is you do the pick'ems with the people from work and your friends and stuff. I heard something called the Last Man Standing.
They do one of those too.
It was interesting. I never heard about that before.
You take a different team every week.
Yeah,
and you can't take a team more than once in a season. So
that's not the rule in this one. You just can't double up in that week, the 2 weeks back to back.
Okay.
So you could pick
that's not a real last man standing because you are getting to go. You could go back to somebody. Say you see New England playing.
Yeah.
Miami, Houston.
Well, I was talking to a guy that's in it. He's one of the other guys that I see regularly at my job, and he was asking me because he has 2 bets in. He has one for his dad and one for him, and
it's $20 a week, right?
Yeah, $20 a pop. It was $20 a person. It's just one time.
Oh, see, this one is $20 a week.
See, this is one time. See, they do one, and then if it comes up short, of the season, if it doesn't last, if there's nobody, then they'll just do another one.
Yeah, see, they track on the one that they do over there. I don't do it, but the way they do it is you pick a team every week and you get points. So when you pick a winner, you go. But you can't. That once you take that team, you're done.
Yeah, that team's no
longer. You got 32 teams for 17 weeks. You got to figure it out.
Yeah, that's more strategic.
Well, last man standing.
Yeah, no. I just mean that's more thinking. This guy was talking to me because he took the Patriots this week for himself, and his dad took. Who did he take? His dad took someone else who that lost, and so he was so he's out, and then I was like. Okay, so he goes, well, if I'm playing both, because there's another one, there's 3 of them, and something like that. And so he goes, I have two teams to pick this week. Mm-hmm. And he goes, do you think that I could pick the Patriots in one and then somebody else in the other? And I said, well, didn't you pick the Patriots already this week? And he goes, yeah, but that's one of them. It's a different pick. Mm-hmm. Does that, and I was thinking, that's a loophole, I guess.
Could be, yeah.
Because then you're like, well, yeah, I get it, but it's a different pick. In that sequence on a board that the guy does for you, it's not back-to-back sequence in that column. So I guess that would work. So if that's true, I told him don't take New England because you don't know who the quarterback's going to be next week yet.
It's going to be Bissett.
I didn't hear what the final say on Garoppolo's injury was.
Garoppolo's out minimum 1 week.
Okay.
Now, I've heard a bunch of different things from fans that I go to work with. The last report I saw said 4 to 6 weeks minimum. Possibly more likely 6 to 8. So
it doesn't matter after week 4 anyway.
They're just trying to get by the next 2 weeks, so that Brady comes back.
And they went 2-0, which is the worst they break even.
Yeah. So you had Belichick on interview today say we are going to pick up a quarterback, but he won't play this week because we can't get him active in time.
Yeah.
So by the time they search and find him, so you got Bissett as the starting quarterback, give Julian Edelman as the backup because he played.
He played at Kent State.
It was college QB. So I'd love to sit here and say this is a week to not pick New England, but they always pull shit out of their ass where they just seem to find a way. After watching Garoppolo yesterday for a little bit, it's a system thing. Brady is just the master of it. Castle did it. We've seen Brady do it for many years. We've seen Garoppolo do it for 2 games. Bissett didn't look terrible down the stretch of that game, but he'll have a whole 3 days of prep. I would say 3 days. He'll have 3 days of prep now, going to be the starter on Thursday. What would
Garoppolo's injury sprained AC joint.
Yeah. So Jacoby Brissett. Sorry, I was saying that wrong. I was saying Bissett. It's Brissett. And he didn't look too bad. They were saying he was the 3rd or 4th best QB coming out of the ACC.
Seems like he likes Martellus Bennett, even though Martellus Bennett was on my fucking bench.
Yeah.
Watch, I'm going to switch him up again, and then he's going to wind up doing nothing. They're playing Atlanta this next week, so. Or they're playing Texans, I mean.
Yeah. They're playing Miami.
No, that was this week.
They're playing Miami this week. And
No, that was this last week. The one that they won.
They just played Miami.
Yeah, they just played Miami. So they're playing Houston on Thursday night.
That's right.
So the guy asked me what I thought his pick should be. I told him to take the Texans against the Patriots on Thursday night.
Oh man,
they're in Houston.
I don't know. Like I said, I'm leery taking.
I think again, this is another one of those teams. I think with Houston that is better than what people are giving them credit for.
I do think they're good. New England's system is designed for people to succeed, and I'm waiting to see. I don't think you're going to see.
If Garoppolo doesn't start, you're talking about a guy who has to know what happens, and he has nothing to lose in the fact that there's nobody behind him.
Yeah.
So I think that there's going to be some costly mistakes that could cost him the game with Houston at home. He's not getting a full week prep. It's a Thursday night game.
I don't think that Belichick would keep someone like that on the team. I think if he saw even the slightest hint of someone going rogue, they were gone.
I don't think they're going to go. He'll go rogue. But I just think that at this point, that you're asking a guy to come in and go, hey, you're going to be Tom Brady's replacement now for 2 weeks, as far as we know. And by the way, don't fuck this up. I could totally see the game plan being very vanilla.
Yeah.
But I think that hurts you against a team that has the receiving core that Houston has. Because New England's defense, you saw as well as Brissett did in the game after Garoppolo went out, Miami almost came back and won that game.
They did.
And to me, Houston's better than Miami. So if you do football math,
well,
we'll see if it adds up.
Yeah, we will definitely see. I'll be curious, like you said, to see the game.
Oh, I told him to take the Cardinals as well.
Who are they playing?
I forget who it was. But I told him to take the Cardinals.
That might not be a bad pick. They looked good last week. They looked real good for first time in a while. So some other games. You had the Texans beat the Chiefs. Chiefs, again, starting slow.
They're playing the Bills.
Okay. Chiefs starting slow. I don't know what's going on with Alex Smith. He kind of choked me up on one. He only had 3 fantasy points this week. Felt like reaching across and choking him, but he luckily for him, he wasn't close enough. How about this one? Rams over the Seahawks 9-3. First game back in LA.
You know what you call that? Bowling shoe ugly.
Rams win a game without scoring an offensive TD. They were talking this morning on Mike and Mike. Seattle has lost the last 2 games, or has scored 15 points, but has been favored by 16 in the total of the last 2 games. It's kind of crazy to see Seattle suffering so much because you're kind of going, wait a minute. Are you telling me that Beast Mode was this much of this offense? Was he that much of a focal point here? Because this is kind of weird here. I thought Russell Wilson was, I don't want to say a marginal quarterback, but I thought he was okay. He looked good. But you're telling me people were so distracted by Marshawn Lynch running the ball that it opened that much up? Because they have looked like no offense the last 2 weeks.
Tell me the receiver that you think is their big play receiver.
Seattle?
Mm-hmm.
It's Lockett. No?
His go-to guy is Doug Baldwin.
Well, that's his go-to guy. You said their big play. It's
Lockett's
Lockett.
not.
You don't think so?
They don't have a big play guy. It's kind of a trick question. They don't have a guy that you look at and go, we got to double up on that guy because he'll kill us if we don't.
Well, that's not what you asked me.
That's a big play player.
That's like
the guy that's a focal point in your defensive prep that week. They don't have that guy.
No,
they don't have that guy.
They don't have
That's why Beast Mode is that important because what he does is make you focus on him, and he'll carry you like a fucking backpack to the end zone if you don't get low and get him down.
He needs to work on his people skills.
Y'all need to work on your people skills.
That's an awesome commercial.
But it makes it easier for everybody else on the field.
Yeah, so. that was a stinker. I hated for that to be the first game back in LA, but hey, touche to them. Gurley, another poor showing. Albeit he's played 2 reasonable defenses the last 2 weeks. I'm just a little...
I saw a thing that said don't fall for a fantasy trade for Todd Gurley.
Yeah, well, they're thinking he'll start at some point, but why? Why is he gonna start? Because Case Keenum's gonna get hot? Yeah, good luck with that one, huh?
No.
There'll be a long line of people looking for Gurley. If you're in my league and you're listening, I'll definitely trade you someone for Gurley. You can let me know. I'm sure he'll get his carries. I'm just not sure about the points. So, Cardinals blowing up the Bucks. Everybody was on the Jameis Winston bandwagon going into this week, and now they're all jumping off as fast as they jumped on. Don't forget I think with that loss last week for the Cardinals, I think everybody forgets how good of a team that actually is. That's a good team there. They were warming up. Carson Palmer had a so-so preseason. He's going to catch fire. He'll be just fine. That team will definitely be good. Chargers beat the Jaguars.
Yeah.
Poor performance. Blake Bortles. Did you see the highlights?
I did not.
That guy made some terrible throws. He's to the point where he should not be making some of those throws because he's far enough along. He's got Robinson. He's got Hearns. He's got Julius Thomas. Why are you making some of those throws? These guys will run themselves open. You just need to make sure the ball gets there 1 on time and 2 on target. You know? So this guy's going to have to... He's going to find himself looking for another team if he doesn't start picking that up, you know? There was a lot of sportscasters last night, talking about this guy should not be making these kinds of mistakes. He's too far along.
Yeah, he's too far advanced.
He's too far advanced. There's no reason that should be happening. So, Falcons-Raiders. Falcons win the shootout in Oakland. We talked a little bit about the defense. It's disappointing. You know, they went out and they worked on it, and it's not happening yet. I'm sure it will at some point, but right now, you're just happy that the offense is playing good enough to keep you in games.
Yeah.
You know, because these could be ugly.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh yeah.
They actually did a good job of holding Julio Jones most of the game. He just broke free middle of the third, and you know the rest of the game he managed to get open. You're not going to hold a receiver like Julio Jones empty. You just try to make sure he doesn't have those big ones. He had a couple of big ones, and well, there you go. You know, there's your game. Yeah. That's really him just taking control. Him and Ryan understanding. Let me get this ball to Julio and let him finish it up. You know, he'll take care of this team. So definitely disappointing for Raider fans, but you're still going. We're 1-1. You know, we're 1-1. Del Rio, a couple of gutsy 4th and goal calls. I mean, a 4th and goal he went on, and then a 4th down he missed actually at midfield. Hey man, I'm all for the pedal to the metal stance, but you are working. You know, that midfield one. I don't want to say it cost him the game, but you don't want Matt Ryan and Julio.
It was pivotal.
Yeah, you don't want Matt Ryan and Julio that close to the end zone to start. You don't. That's not what you want to face. You don't want to put your defense up against that. I don't care how much faith you have in your defense. You do not want to put your defense in that situation. They did. It didn't work. And we're looking at a 7-point loss. You know?
Right.
That's terrible because the offense should be able to make up a 7-point loss.
One thing that I think is very encouraging is that when their offense needs a play, they seem to come up with that play.
Oh, yeah. And like I said, it's not... I don't want to... You don't want to bash the defense and say, well, you're not good enough to do that, because maybe some days they are, but... There's a lot of strategy involved in this, too. It's not just gut feeling or what you believe. You got to play strategy. The odds say I punt. Even if I only pick up 30 yards of field position, that's 30 yards that they have to go.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to give them a 50-yard field. I need to give them a 70-yard field or an 80-yard field, you know. You don't want to do that. You don't want to do that, especially with Sean Smith struggling so much, you know. I mean,
somebody should hold a fire extinguisher on the sideline, because when he comes out, his ass is on fire from getting torched so damn bad.
All the time.
UFC fights this weekend.
Yeah.
Dustin Poirier gets smoked in the first round by Michael Johnson.
I didn't see that one. I saw the result, but I didn't see the
Uriah Hall also knocked out in the first round. The two guys that were the favorites got knocked out. This weekend, coming up, more fights again. Chris Cyborg is one of them.
Weekend,
so we'll see how she does. Hopefully, we'll put some stuff up about her. We'll talk about her, see if we can't get some interaction on social media.
Yeah, I've seen her. Follow her on Instagram. She has some cool pictures of her working out and stuff. She looks tough. She looks ready.
Dana White talked a little shit about possibly still having her fight Ronda, but then kind of killed it by saying that he doesn't plan on implementing a new division. It's not gonna help. She can't cut to 135. Physically, she cannot do it. It doesn't do her any good. It's not healthy for her. Well, weight cuts aren't healthy in general. It physically kills her to do that cut. So if she fights Ronda, it ain't because of that. And there's a little bit of controversy.
Okay.
So Al Iaquinta, who was scheduled to fight Thiago Alvarez at UFC 205 in New York, is no longer fighting him.
All right.
Because of contract disputes. Said that because he's been off for all of this last year with an injury. Said, I've been using all the money that I had from my sponsorships, which was the deal that he signed before the Reebok deal. Mm-hmm. Said, I had to use all my sponsorship money to get by while I was off with this injury. I would like more money for this fight because we don't get paid enough. And negotiations went awry, and the UFC said, we can't do that. We have a deal with Reebok. They have a deal with how they want to pay you guys. There's levels to this shit. You ain't on that level, and we don't get to pay you like that. He said, well, I don't fight then. I'm going to go ahead and sit down.
Huh.
Another person who is stepping in and saying, that's fine. I don't got to play the game either.
Yeah.
It's getting more and more interesting if you're into the business side of this UFC business.
We talked about them maybe getting together and saying, hey, fuck you. This needs to happen.
And how crazy is this that more and more guys are going, nah, man, I'll go somewhere else. Chael Sonnen, we announced on Friday, signed with Bellator. Who did he call out? Do you know?
No, I didn't see
Tito Ortiz.
Oh, wow.
Tito Ortiz has one more fight left on his Bellator contract, and Chael Sonnen said, I want to fight him.
Huh.
And Ortiz has said that, like, he'd be down if they can figure it out. So that could be a fight for Bellator. That would be a good one, in my opinion. Ortiz finally healthy again, had neck surgery last year, so he's 100% again when they pick a date. Sonnen's coming off of the quote-unquote retirement from before. So I don't see why it wouldn't be a good fight for the two of them. Rory McDonald signed with Bellator. Benson Henderson signed with Bellator. Suddenly the UFC's leverage of we're the best that's around production-wise and value-wise isn't really gaining all that much momentum.
I would say production-wise they probably still are, but value-wise they're starting to get some competition.
Well, the reason why, and I listen, my what to listen for was the Scott Coker thing for the fighter and the kid last week. If you listen to Scott Coker talk, he's the guy that runs Bellator. He talks about bringing these guys up boxing style and giving them fights that make sense to help them build as a fighter and not just throw them in the deep end and go, hey, you get shredded by the best that we got. Now, granted, the competition level isn't equal to the UFC, that's for sure. But the financial stability is very different. Benson Henderson signed his deal where he makes $50,000 for fighting and then makes an additional $50,000 win or lose once the fight is over. So it's a $100,000 purse before sponsors.
Yeah.
Now, in Bellator, they don't have an exclusive uniform deal.
They can go out and
you can have you could put Condom Depot back on your shorts. You know, you could put DickLoversAnonymousWeb.com for all you want. And if they want to pay you money, you can put whatever you want on there. And they're going to pay you that extra cash. So now, and we've heard this several times in articles we read and fighters talking in interviews that they can make upward of $100,000 in sponsorship money for one fight.
One fight, yeah.
If these guys fight 3 times a year, you're looking at $300,000 just in sponsorship money.
Plus another $300,000
for
fighting.
Yeah, you're looking at $600,000, which is, for what people talk about, it's expensive to keep a camp.
Yeah.
It's expensive to make a living when you're only fighting 3 days or 3 days out of the year, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a lot. So for people to, like the head brass people of the UFC to sit there and go, we don't want to pay you this much. We have a deal with Reebok. This just makes the Reebok deal look even more shittier.
Oh, yeah.
And again, to me, this is and people go, you're on his dick about Conor McGregor. What he did by standing up and saying, I don't want to do this, was the beginning of people going, maybe we don't have to be scared.
Yeah.
You know, and I think it changed some people's minds.
Definitely did.
So props to Al Iaquinta for being able to say, you know what? If that's what you want to do, then I'm not fighting.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we'll see how that materializes.
Rumor
there was talk about the fighters union too, right?
Yeah. Well, that's still going.
Okay.
That's still a thing going. Rumor mill, Eddie Alvarez versus Conor McGregor at UFC 205 in November in New York is all but done. The sticking point, what do you think it is?
Probably sponsorship or purse dividing. No?
That's easy. That's Conor's money to take.
With the weight?
He'll go. It's for the 155 title.
Okay, so he's gonna have.
So he'll have to cut to 155. He don't mind. He wants to cut to 55.
What's the sticking point?
Keeping his belt, the featherweight belt.
Oh wow.
That's the sticking point that's holding everything up.
Huh.
Is the fact? It's just the fact that he was willing to. He told him, "I'm not going to give up my belt." So he's trying to make sure that he holds on. He wants to be the first 2 weight class world champion at the same time.
Wow.
And
he's definitely in a position to negotiate that if that's what he wants, right?
in my opinion, if they really want Eddie Alvarez there, then the first fight, like, you put it in the contract, you idiots. You're giving Conor McGregor Eddie Alvarez at 155 for the title under the condition that he defends the featherweight title after this fight. Quit letting it, like, the UFC, for as ballsy and as wise as they think they are, has done nothing but cause problems for themselves.
Yeah.
And Conor McGregor has all the power after winning that Diaz fight the second time. Because who they going to call right now? They don't want to make the deal with GSP. GSP's pissed off at them. They're pissed off at GSP. They don't want to make the deal for December in Toronto with him.
Yeah.
Rousey still, you don't know whether she's coming back or not. So they don't want to give, like, Nunes anybody in December yet because they're unsure. They're saying, oh, well, they're trying to tease Cyborg and Ronda one more time. You got nothing. Conor is the guy that you're drawing.
Yeah.
Period. And you're going to tell the guy, oh, well, guess what? You don't get to hold on to that belt. You allowed him to fight Nate Diaz the first time. You brought this on. You could have said, hey, man, no Dos Anjos, we want you to wait. Like, we'll do it at 200. We'll make the payday bigger for you. You wait till 200. It'll be a bigger draw. We can have you do it that way. And if he would have said, fine, that'll give me time to go do whatever I want to do before I start training, this would have been a whole different issue. But instead, they made him fight Nate Diaz. And they made him a big deal about him doing the presser for 200 and all this other stuff. And they caused this problem themselves. And now they don't have the leverage that Conor McGregor has.
Yep.
And I'll be surprised if they make him give up. People are going to go out of their minds that he's still, in a calendar year, he has not defended that title if we go to 205 and he fights Eddie Alvarez. People will lose their fucking mind.
Yeah, there could be a lot of questions asked for sure.
So if you're the UFC, in the fight contract, it should say, you get Eddie Alvarez at 155 for the title under the condition that your next fight, no matter what, is to defend the 145 title in your first fight of 2017.
That'd be the New Year's fight.
You know,
Could be.
I mean,
yeah.
that seems like the smart way to do it.
It would be, but
and you make Aldo fight in December.
Yeah.
And you make him fight Max Holloway.
That'd be a good fight.
So Holloway gets Aldo for the interim championship. Winner definitely gets McGregor in the new year.
Sounds fair.
But that's just me.
That's his negotiating power. It's what he can do. You know, he can go in there and do that kind of stuff and get. And I don't want to say get away with it, but he can set a tone for the rest of the guys to ask for stuff. You know, if they have the drawing power.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, again, you said it. We're talking about McGregor. You know, but again, if McGregor can't fight every card, you know, and there's got to be a draw to every card, it gives people some leverage if they're not afraid to stand up to the UFC.
Right.
So,
Manny Machado needs to sit the fuck down. They're showing the highlights of the Red Sox game right now.
ooh, that's a cut.
He was talking shit to Rick Porcello. Oh, he went around. He didn't like that call. Let's see. Oh, that's why he got mad in the first inning. He got hit by a pitch early on. And he chased another high one. Sit the fuck down.
5-2?
Porcello's 21-4 this year.
Wow.
Through a complete game. Only 89 pitches in this game.
Cy Young?
Got to be in the talks. I mean, for sure.
Yeah. So we covered our football.
Wednesday night, they're playing the Orioles again. It'll be on ESPN.
Covered our UFC, our live broadcast for Monday Night Football.
Yep.
So,
Wrestling. This weekend coming up this Sunday, they got the Clash of Champions pay-per-view. That's Raw's exclusive pay-per-view. So Monday, I'm gonna do my best to get Gio in here, so that way we can talk about Backlash. And Clash of Champions. It'll be the first two separate pay-per-views that they've had that we can talk about and kind of get caught up, and some other things I want to touch on in TNA Impact Wrestling.
Yeah.
We haven't talked very much about outside WWE wrestling in a while, so we'll make it a little bit longer and talk some business about that. You can follow us on the social media pages. If you listen to us on YouTube, our social media on Instagram is totally_unprofessional. For Podbean, the link is in the bio. There's a little emoji with the fingers pointing straight down. You just click it, takes you straight there. All 39 episodes are there, 40 and 41, because this is episode 41. We'll be there up tomorrow. And then if you follow us on Instagram, we follow you back.
Yep.
If you have a comment or something, we'll make sure that, you know, we let people know out here on the podcast. And if you listen to us on or see us on Instagram and are trying to figure out how to listen to us outside of that, we're also on YouTube at Totally Unprofessional Podcast. So this has been Monday. It's been a long weekend.
Oh yeah.
Ready to rest the rest of this week. Hopefully, I got 5 more days or 4 more days. I take it back. 4 more days because I'm off tomorrow, and then I'm on vacation for a week.
Nice.
So I could podcast all next week. Just up them.
It don't even matter.
That's right. So this has been episode 41. I'm Justin.
Emmanuel.
And we've been totally unprofessional.